and gentlemen, this is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization. If you like this video, or even if you don't like it, that's all right. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know and make some comments down there. Make some complaints too if you want. That's all right too. How are the world markets doing? Most of us have seen the chaos this week. Where are the Western military assets? What are they planning? What are they likely planning? What significant events have occurred this week and around the world? Well, let me give you a rundown. It is April 12th, 2025. And many of you saw that there was quite a bit of chaos in the world markets. And I usually start with a discussion of oil. West Texas Intermediate crude dropped to 55.50, but rebounded by the end of the week to 61.56. Brent bottomed at 58.85, but made it back to 64.76. And the OPEC baskets bottomed at 63.40, but made it back to 66.41. Gold held above $3,100 this week. And in fact, it drove higher to above $3,200 this week, ending the week at $3,238.82. Silver followed it up to $32.28. The increase in price in gold and silver indicate that people and especially institutions are afraid of the market instability, and they're exchanging their paper currency for traditional metals. And not only are they exchanging the paper currency, but they're exchanging stocks, bonds, and various other things. They're fleeing those paper assets and going into metals. Now that realistically, that has not that wave has not started yet. I think when that happens, you'll see silver do a really big catch up to gold. I believe traditionally it's usually at about a 15-to-1 ratio, and we're significantly behind that at the moment. But right now, the major institutions are trying to solidify their positions and try to back up their positions with the metals. On the Baltic Dry Goods Exchange, the index pulled back a little bit this week, I believe because of the market instability, and ended at $1,274. This is an indication on how people are viewing the markets by the cost of transporting goods, dry goods in this case. Now, what was causing a lot of this chaos is the markets were dominated by the possibility of tariffs being implemented by the U.S. president. After threatening reciprocal tariffs across the world a couple weeks ago, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the U.S. president held up their implementation for 90 days as many of the countries started calling to negotiate or renegotiate tariffs. The notable country that did not call or automatically reduce its tariff was China, which, after a couple of rounds back and forth on tariff increases, ended up with a 125% increase on tariffs. The EU had planned to tariff U.S. products for UF tariffs on steel and aluminum. After seeing the focus on China, the United States transition to focused on China, EU leaders decided to pause their tariffs as they negotiated new tariffs. All of this was fallout from the transition in tariffs, the ups and downs, kind of the ripsaw effect of it. The U.S. dollar itself was down about 9.3% for this year. Now, mind you, this is usually by design. When a country's leader wants to get better trade position, one easy way to do it is to devalue your currency. It makes it easier for people to buy your goods. The global, like I said, all this chaos is making the global order shake beneath our feet. The Bank of England noted that the U.S. president's tariffs put UK in financial stability at risk. Bond prices across the world, especially U.S. bond prices, were not spared of the market's concerns as the prices dropped. However, the benefit is that as the bond prices drop, the interest rates rise. Briefly, they actually hit 5%, which means that they actually were starting to get worth something. But they retreated back to 4.835%. Now, I go over the economic situations because stable economics and trade means conflict is less likely. As more and more countries struggle to maintain power over their people, and their economies are taking a hit, and now the U.S. president is throwing in another serious problem, they are more likely to take drastic measures and choose violence to distract their people. U.S. military and naval deployments, ISR aircraft have been doing what I've watched for the past several weeks. They are flying a lot along the U.S.-Mexico border, probably looking at the cartels just over the border, continuing to surveil them. They also continue to surveil the western U.S. mountains. This week, the entire eastern seaboard was of particular concern to these surveillance flights. The 6 B-2 stealth bombers that had deployed to Diego Garcia remain in Diego Garcia with their support aircraft. A lot of assets remain in the area, and I did a video this past week on this. They remain in the Middle East in preparation for some action. Those B-2s and Diego Garcia can easily fly to the Middle East and strike any targets in that area. Actually, they're designed so they can be refueled and fly anywhere in the world, but more than likely these guys are designated to be helping out. Actually, they have been tasked to the CENTCOM AOR. Right now, the target in the Middle East are the Houthis in Yemen, and they're taking the brunt of the attacks. Rumors are that the Houthis could be the initial target of U.S. military action, and there could be an invasion of Yemen. This would alleviate a flank for U.S. troops if they do end up targeting Iran in the near future. As far as the Navy goes, they have 295 ships, U.S. Navy. 97 are deployed, 70 are underway. The USS America remains in Sasebo, Japan. The USS George Washington is in Yokosuka, Japan. USS Carl Vinson is transitioning the Singapore Strait as of last Friday, not yesterday. Today's Saturday, so it was a week from yesterday, en route to the Middle East to support operations against the Houthis in Yemen. Which means that they're probably on station now. Since it's been a week since they transitioned, or they transited the Singapore Strait. The USS Abraham Lincoln departed San Diego last week, according to ship spotters. The USS Harry S. Truman continues to operate in the Red Sea. The USS Nimitz is in transit for a regularly scheduled deployment to the Western Pacific. Last report we had, the USS Reagan was away from its home port in Bremerton, Washington. The USS Tripoli was at its home port in San Diego. USS Wasp departed Norfolk, Virginia on Wednesday. The USS Iwo Jima, interestingly enough, departed Norfolk, Virginia also on Wednesday. And the USS Gerald R. Ford departed Norfolk a little while ago on March 14th for pre-deployment exercises. The USS George H.W. Bush returned to Norfolk, Virginia on Thursday. While U.S. and Iran have made cursory gestures at talks, those seem to have gone nowhere quickly. Doesn't appear that they're making any progress, much of any, if any progress at all. Over in Europe, the market saw a lot of ups and downs this week, just like most of the rest of the world. The DAX ended at 20,374.10. The FTSE ended at 7,964.14. The CAC 40 ended at 7,104.80. The IBEX ended at 12,286. Up in Sweden, They have noted that Russian intelligence sabotage tactics are evolving. And I quote from a report, Sweden's security service warns of alarming shift in Russian espionage tactics involving recruit of individuals suffering from substance addiction for sabotage missions as a part of a broader hybrid warfare strategy targeting Europe and Sweden. Sweden and Europe. Russia, I guess, has taken particular interest of Sweden, especially since they have recently joined NATO, and Russia and NATO continue to be belligerent towards each other. A Russian intelligence gathering ship was monitored off the Irish coast. As Europe has noted that they need to enhance their defense posture, two former senior U.S. military commanders are questioning Europe's ability to defend the airspace over Europe. After watching Russia being able to attack Ukrainian cities for the past 2 years, the concerns seem to be fairly warranted. Poland continues to prepare for a direct war with Russia. They have withdrawn from the Personnel Landmine Convention. They are expanding their military, more than doubling the size of their military from 200,000 troops to 500,000 troops. They are expanding the amount of money that they're spending on weapons, and they're looking to buy additional weapons. They're looking to establish their own nuclear weapons program, and initially they're looking at buying French nuclear weapons. From the UK, France, Germany, with Poland and many other European countries, they all continue to push to enhance its military capabilities. While they have enjoyed the free ride provided by the USA, they are beginning to see the USA as a less reliable partner. They are ready to take on a greater role of taking on their own defense. Although I applaud the effort to unburden the U.S. with the defense of Europe, I want to remind everybody, before the Pax Americana, European countries frequently found reasons to kill each other over the past 1,000 years. This may work out well. This defense spending increase may work out well, and it may not. Time will tell. Over in Asia, the same thing. Markets were up and down all week long. The Nikkei ended at 33,585.58. The SSE index ended at 3,238.23. The Hang Seng index ended at 20,914.69. The BSE Sensex ended at 75,157.26. The Nifty 50 ended at 22,828.55. Most of Asia's challenge this week has revolved around the economic challenges of the world, focused on U.S. tariffs. A few significant things that did happen. Myanmar, in the aftermath of the earthquake from a couple weeks ago, approximately 2,000 people have been pulled from the rubble. They've been noted as having died. In South Korea, their military fired warning shots at North Korean soldiers that came across the border. Also in South Korea, they have stated that they will hold presidential elections on June 3rd to choose a successor for their last president. As a note, the last president, South Korean President Yoon, was removed after he implemented martial law, as he saw that his rule was being challenged and he was about to be removed from office. Over in the Middle East, the Prime Minister of Israel visited the Washington, D.C. for some hastily arranged talks on tariffs and to discuss the remaining hostages and, who knows what else that the world leaders talk about, whatever it is they discuss. Iran has been caught sending missiles to Iraqi proxy groups that they were supposed to be disarming. Imagine that. In addition, Iranian naval forces have seized some smaller ships that they thought were smuggling fuel. This along the Strait of Hormuz, actually probably further up the Arabian Gulf. Over in Africa, Sudan claims that UAE has been hiring paramilitaries to cause chaos and trouble in their country. Gabon had elections and voted for a new president, the first one since the military coup of 2023. Mali has been embracing solar power for rural areas, but a lot of challenges remain with that, using solar power. Congolese forces rescued at least 40 hostages abducted by Islamic State-linked rebels. And Zimbabwe has begun making compensation to white farmers over land seizures. Just over 20 years ago, Zimbabwe decided that they were going to seize white farmlands and for reparations of atrocities, crimes committed by white settlers. Then, after those farms were taken, Zimbabwe went through a lot of economic chaos. In fact, they're still struggling with a lot of economic chaos. They struggled with hunger, starvation, and, well, they're still trying to get their act together. In the Americas, same thing. Markets were up and down. The Dow Jones ended the week at 40,212.71. The S&P ended at 5,363.36. The NASDAQ ended at 16,724.46. Canadian police arrested 7 people involved with Italian organized crime. The police, and this was in Montreal, the police looked beyond the main neighborhoods and to the lesser-known suburbs. And there they found these crime organizations, and as I said, they arrested 7 people. The Dominican Republic, 100 people died after a roof collapsed at a nightclub. And people are still being, well, they're not being rescued, they're being recovered now. As the U.S. President's administration has implemented quite a few different policies, quite a few different lawsuits have come up, and most of them are still being adjudicated. Some of them have already been adjudicated. One of the controversial decisions was the deportation of Diego Garcia, Mr. Garcia. He had a deportation order, but was married to a U.S. citizen and had U.S. children. He was accused of having associations with a terrorist gang, identified a terrorist gang, MS-13, and he was deported to El Salvador. Now, he is an El Salvadoran citizen, so he was sent home. But he was sent to a very infamous jail there, very harsh jail. And the Supreme Court has ruled that he should be returned. The Supreme Court also made a decision when the U.S. President implemented the Alien Enemies Act deportation. They used that to deport a significant number of people from the United States to El Salvador, this very dangerous prison. The Supreme Court, and a lot of district courts decided that they were not allowed to use that. This ruling was a bit of a mixed blessing. The Supreme Court agreed that the administration could use the Alien Enemies Act. However, immigrants must be given the right for a judicial review before deportation. Now, in a blow given to the immigrants and their supporters, they were told that the immigrants have to be seen in the district where they were arrested or where they're going to be deported from. The original ruling came out of Washington, D.C., but the plaintiffs were deported out of Texas. Well, the Supreme Court said you can't do that anymore. The CIA, I find this rather amusing because the CIA is reviewing its authority to use legal force against drug cartels. That is, they've had no problem using lethal force against many, many other people in the past, or allowing lethal force to be used against many other world leaders in the past. However, now they seem to have pause. They're probably having to check and see if they are ready to betray their drug supply. Now, no one disputes that the U.S. president favors loyal workers. Do you remember back in 2018 that we had a problem in the Middle East with the Islamic State building up a caliphate in the Middle East? They were killing Kurds, Yazidi, even Shia Muslims, and any ethnic group that they could get a hold of. They were capturing their women and then girls and selling them in slave markets. Then the U.S. and Russia went to work destroying them. We were told that this caliphate was going to be around for years. We'd have to deal with it for a while, even though it had just come into existence. That somehow or another we were incapable of eliminating it. Well, then once the U.S. and Russia got together, we had no problem in wiping them out. I believe it took about 5 months to rid the world of the scourge. One of the people that was involved was Lieutenant General Dan Kane, and he's like I said, one of those that led the response to destroy ISIS. He actually retired, but at request of the president has come back, and he has been confirmed just this past week as the new Joint Chiefs of Staff. And what we hope turns out to be something worthwhile, a Trump envoy named Witkoff is meeting with the Russian president in a bit of a surprise. Unfortunately, it appears that Russia is not very amenable to working out peace with Ukraine. They keep putting up roadblocks for some reason. Hopefully we can find something that will work. After many years of denial, China has finally admitted that they were behind many of the hacks that we have seen throughout the United States. They always kept trying to make excuses and say it was something else. And but our intel guys knew that when the hacks were coming from the Chinese. And what I want to note that I'll show is related. The U.S. president stripped the security clearance of cybersecurity leader Chris Krebs. These last two articles, like I said, they're related because people assigned to protect us from foreign government hacking failed. Many, many more cybersecurity experts need to be included with him. They need to lose their security clearance. They let the Chinese in for whatever reason. They failed to do their job. Now, you've seen there have been quite a few people who had held security clearances, especially at intel agencies. Terminating security clearances has been a theme of this presidency. It serves two purposes, I believe. On an economic note, it cuts off their ability to review classified documents and advise companies based on that information. So this removes the financial incentive for someone to depart U.S. intel agencies, because these companies are willing to pay a lot of money for those kinds of reviews. And that makes a lot of sense considering the amount of money that's been invested in intelligence officers who get the clearance and then just turn around and walk out and get paid a huge salary on the outside. Well, if they don't have the security clearance, they don't have the right to review it. And if they're not working for the federal government, they don't have any reason to have that security clearance. They don't need to be reviewing that material. This this also provides a bit of retaliation by the president against those people who made a lot of trouble for him during his first term in office by promoting fake news stories, and that led to illegal investigations. Well, this wraps up everything that I've seen going on this week. Markets were in whipsaw, up and down, back and forth all around. We have Europe preparing to build up their defense industry. That is going to take a while, make no mistake. And we also have quite a few troops in place in the Middle East, prepared for attacks. Well, like I said, I believe initially against the Houthi rebels in Yemen and later on against Iran. One thing that I haven't noted, and I can't quite tell, is how many troops do they have in that the AOR? Because it will take quite a few people to invade, even if it's just the mountainous region of Yemen, the Houthi-led area of Yemen. So, not certain if they have enough troops for that yet or not. We'll see. But I will keep an eye on it for you and let you know. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope that you guys have found this interesting and helpful. And I hope that you guys are doing well. Hug your families. Much love to everybody. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe. Make some comments. Make some complaints. And we will see you again next week. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day, rest of your weekend.